back.
We are back, and we're going to talk about Milgrams Experiment. And I hadn't heard of that before you brought it up today, Billy. Welcome back to Cut the Slack podcast, where we get into real topics with real people.
There we go. Love it. We need a slogan. We really do.
Yeah, we got to do it. But so you brought up this Milgrams Experiment. I never heard of it, man, but maybe you can share a little bit about it.
Yeah, so Milgram is the last name of a researcher at Yale University, and he did an experiment post-World War II about authority because they had the Nuremberg trials, and the Nuremberg trials were basically trials given to the Nazi top brass, all the top commanders, the top doctors. The Nuremberg trials, it was like, okay, they just committed this entire military force just ravaged this part of the earth. You know, how do we deal with them?
Yeah. And
so they ran them through a series of trials, and a lot of them, you know, I was just following orders. I was a soldier. I was bred to follow orders. And so they tried to put the responsibility off of them and just say, no, I'm part of the military. I just listen to my commander. And so they wanted to really get out of their actions. And so they didn't, by the way. They all got sent to death penalty and life in prison and this and that. And so Milgram was a professor at Yale, and he did a little experiment where they would, bring people in, and there would be an authoritative figure in a lab coat, something like that, sitting in a desk behind them. The participant would be put at a desk with a piece of machinery that had different level of voltage.
So there's two participants, right?
There's one. There's only one, but they believe that there's two.
Okay.
So the second participant would be in another room that the first participant could hear, and the first participant would read a question. A series of words. Which one does not belong in this series of words? And the person, if they got it wrong, they received 15 volts. Boom. And it progressively went up in voltage.
Right.
As the questions progressed. And so
the person getting shocked really wasn't there.
Right.
But this was part of the experiment. So they had this kind of taped audio or whatever of a person answering a question wrong.
Yes.
And then getting shocked.
Yes.
Okay. And then, so it would get each question they would ask, they would up the voltage.
Yes.
Supposedly, of the person getting shocked.
Right.
Okay. And
up to like 450 volts or something like that.
Now, is that lethal?
It is a lethal.
Once you get to 450, that's a death.
I'm not sure the threshold, but I know that at the end of it was a lethal, shock. So, but yeah, as it keeps going, at first the reaction's like, ow. And then he's like, are you ready for the second question? And he's like, yeah, I guess. That kind of hurt, but okay, I guess. And then he's like, ow. And then after a while, right around 100 volts, he goes, hey, let me out of here. I'm done. This hurts. This is too crazy, blah, blah, blah. And so the participant, looks behind him and says, hey, this guy wants to leave. And then the authoritative figure, real stern, sir, we must continue with the experiment. Please read the next question. Sir, stick to your mission. You're here to complete the list of questions. Please proceed. These commands that are just real authoritative, stick to the plan. No. You're here to accomplish a mission. Do it. Complete what you're here to do. We must continue.
They'd ask another question then, and the voltage would be upped.
Boom. Yeah.
And they would be shocked, and then they would hear what kind of reaction then.
At one point, it was yelling, screaming, ah, and then the next one after that, there's no response. So the guy's assumably dead. But the guy just he's like, So yeah, the participant would look back, should I keep going? And the authoritative figure would then sternly give the command, we must continue. And okay, it's your fault. And no response, but they keep going. So I think they found that 65% of people are able to be directed to harm others because they convince themselves that this person commanding them is responsible.
Not them.
Not them.
Dude, that's real rough right there. That makes me think about, some experiences that I've had lately. More and more with everything that's happened in 2020, more stores and restaurants have regulations, businesses have regulations where they're telling you what to do, where to stand, what to wear on your face.
Walk this way on this aisle.
Yeah, all these things are happening. And then I've actually experienced some people coming out, the workers at these businesses coming out and yelling at their own customers, the customers that are there to support them. And these people, whether they be a regular employee, a supervisor, a manager, or whatever, and this is at, some grocery stores and Italian markets and, all the from big box places to little places where I've seen people come out and tell everybody what to do. And then everybody falls in line. And that's what really gets me. The question that comes to my mind is, who's your boss? Right? Like, I get it. You're at a job. You signed on for a job, whatever. And you have a boss that instructs you where to go, what to do, and corrects you if you do something wrong, right? I get that whole, relationship there.
Right.
But what I like to ask is, okay, if I'm a customer at a store, is somebody that's getting paid $15 an hour and they're a supervisor at a deli, are they my boss in life? Right? If someone at a grocery store, if the manager comes out and yells at you and tells you to get in line and do this and go this way or act this way or wear this certain thing, are they your boss? Like, the only bosses that I see that are feasible would be maybe a police officer, that's trying to keep peace.
Right.
And say, hey, you're either speeding and that's dangerous, or you're not allowed to destruct property or harm another person. I get that they could be our boss in general. But where does it stop after that? The person at the grocery store is not my boss. Not even my wife is my boss. I'm going to listen to her because I love her.
Yeah.
But why is it that everybody in society is now okay with being told what to do by random employees of a business?
Not this guy, tell you that much.
Even a governor,
yeah,
the governor comes out, and if a governor says something that you don't agree with, do you just go along with it? Even if it's not logical?
Yeah, so these are biohacks, one biohack is to feed a person a message over and over and over again until it becomes fact. Another biohack is Milgrams Experiment. The deli shop manager over at the local grocery store had a meeting or a teleconference with his boss, his regional, right? And he's like, under no circumstances will you serve someone without a mask. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. This is like in a call with them. And it's like, maybe, we have cameras. And so if we notice you serving someone without a mask, then you will be subject to termination, right? That's how they have to cover their base somehow. So it's like, and this is another threat of income, of survivability.
Yeah.
Is, because, to someone who just receives something without any consequence, maybe there is that person who just sees it and goes, but there's going to be a percentage of people who receive a message and say, nah, it doesn't really make too much sense. They're a little overboard. So they're not going to really enforce it too much. And so it's like, if you really want to drive something home, then you tell the deli bakery manager, hey, we're watching the cameras, and if you serve anyone without a mask, you're putting us in danger, which means we're going to have to get rid of you.
Right. And
because
then
we want to stay in business.
Your ability to survive, your ability to provide for your household is in jeopardy now.
Yeah.
So I get that whole thing. What I don't get is where all the people, the thousands of people that run through the store, are just okay with having random bosses all over the place. For sure. So the guy at the deli is my boss now. The person, the supervisor that's 26 years old or 47 years, it doesn't matter what their age is, but all of a sudden I've got bosses everywhere, and they're all telling me what to do, even though it doesn't make any logical sense. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to do basic math and figure out that certain things don't make sense. But everybody is just accepting everybody being their boss.
Yeah.
Now, if I walk down the street and I was like, hey, you don't know me, but you need to do this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
You would be like, dude, you're crazy. Just keep stepping, right? Right? But why is it that you go to these stores and you all of a sudden you got bosses? Everybody's your boss. Everybody's your boss, and I'm going to bow down and listen to them. You know, that's what really gets me. And most of it, I think, goes back to being uncomfortable. Is that all it takes? Is for you to be a little uncomfortable? I've heard people say, well, I'm embarrassed. I was embarrassed because, you know, somebody was infringing on my rights, telling me what to do, but I was embarrassed, so I just did what they said.
Right.
Is that all it takes?
You know?
Is that all it takes nowadays? Is to be a little uncomfortable? Is that what we have been reduced to? So I don't know, man. I what you're saying brings up a great point, and you can't pass the responsibility on to somebody. If you're doing something, you're responsible for it.
That's it.
And if you don't feel like what you're doing is right, I don't care who's telling you to do it or not to do it. Then you need to say, hey, no, this goes against my principles, and I know what's good and bad, and I'm not doing that.
That's it, man. Yeah. So there's a direct link, like you said, because it's coming from a governor's order, and somehow it's making it to the deli bakery manager, you know, and there is a direct link of obedience there. Mm-hmm. It is a large grocery, you know, chain who is a campaign contributor to so-and-so, and there are, you know, conference calls that are happening that are saying, hey, are you on board with this? I need you to be on board with this. Can I count on you? Absolutely. You know, and it's click, and then it's a memo to the VP, and then it's from the VP to the store managers, and then it just trickles into, maybe it's a nationwide chain, you know, maybe it's just statewide, this and that. But
you know how you deal with that? People make their own decisions. The people of the planet. The people of the planet make their own decisions. So here's what happens in that scenario. All these managers and executives get together and say whatever they want to say, but then the people collectively say, hey, you know what? That doesn't make sense. And if everybody in the store decides they're not going to do what they're told because it doesn't make sense, then those managers and executives have no power. And that's what we were talking about in the last podcast about war and all of these kind of things, is that if the people come together as one and say, hey, we don't need the BS, we just want to love each other and be peaceful, then no one can control us. That's where it's at right there. So people, make your own choices and take back your power, and let's do this as one planet.
Milgrams Experiment was a post-World War II experiment of what had happened. And there's been a lot of reference to Nazi Germany from the new administration. And looking back at Milgrams, it's we can look forward. The grocery store, all these commands, the Walmarts, the big boys that are still open, the essentials that have the placards on the floor, walk this way, don't go here, stand here. This is encampment training.
Yeah. It reminds me of Pink Floyd The Wall.
This is encampment training to get people conditioned to obey where whatever command is put in front of you. Okay. Like, again, it goes back. Are you going to be biohacked? Are you going to let yourself get biohacked into a narrative and go down it? Or are you going to take responsibility, think for yourself, have that inner guidance of, does this make sense? Is this right? You know, and move forward on that. That's why there is some value to religions, you know, because a lot of people, they don't know what right is. And so they look to religion and these like different types of belief systems in order to be guided, which I'm all for, like, you know, but there has to be some type of inner compass that says, wait, this doesn't make sense, and I don't want to go down that road.
Right.
Like,
and I believe that it's very simple. I believe everybody can feel what's right and wrong. You know.
Right.
You know whether being cruel to somebody is good. I mean, that's pretty simple, right? Everybody deserves to be free. Everybody deserves to feel comfortable. Yeah. And we don't need a government or even the Pope telling us what to do and what's right or wrong. We know inherently what's right or wrong. Are there some bad seeds and some messed up brains that are murderous out there? Oh yeah, for sure. They've always been there.
Yeah.
But when the group of people, when the whole of humanity comes together and says, hey man, we're not listening to anybody but our heart now. We're not listening to anybody but our heart. And your governments and your politicians and all your little propped up leaders can go kick rocks, because we are here to be good people and live in harmony with each other. That's it.